Sorry about that. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Four Persons. This is going to be kind of an unusual little show that I'm going to do tonight. This is something I tripped upon on the internet accidentally, and ever since then, I haven't been able to get it out of my mind because it's such a weird case because you can't be 100% sure just what happened. The reason why this case has so intrigued me is because our system of justice is based on the premise that a person is innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. At the end of the day, you might come to the conclusion that you think this person is guilty. And I can't say for sure that you're wrong. I just don't know. However, if this had been a jury trial and I'm sitting on the jury, I have to vote to acquit. Not because I'm 100% positive that she's innocent, but I don't think any reasonable person could say that the prosecution proved a double murder charge beyond a reasonable doubt. So I've been conversing with this organization that is advocating for the freeing of this person, and her name is Mackenzie Shirilla. And I promised to watch their video. So guess what? We're going to watch it together. And I'm going to comment as we go.
Mackenzie Shirilla was 17 years old on the morning of a fatal car accident where both her passengers were killed and Mackenzie herself was left clinging to life. Mackenzie lost her best friend and her soulmate, who were planning a future together, and charged with murder and sentenced to life with absolutely no evidence to back up their claims. This tree would be going straight into the building. She obviously did not go straight into the building. The car turned to the right, hit this sign, then went into the building. So the car struck this sign on Mackenzie's side first, the driver's side. This sign used to be 2.5 times bigger than this. After the car went through the sign, then the car struck the building on Dominic and Davion's side.
Okay, we're going to stop it right here. You see the tree that's behind the sign. If you went straight ahead, that would be straight in the building. Now, what the person is saying here is factually correct. I have seen the track of the vehicle coming down Progress towards Alameda, and the black box, so-called black box in the car, shows that the vehicle steering wheel was turned very hard right as it could be turned as the car jumped the curb. That is consistent with somebody trying to avoid an accident. And as you can see, she clips the inside of the building to the right, the inside of the overhang to the right. Clearly, the evidence here is consistent with somebody trying to avoid the building and being unsuccessful.
But she did not go straight into the building. The car turned to the right, hit the sign, then the building. This is the road where Mackenzie calmly put her blinker on Pearl Road and took a right onto Progress Parkway. This is the long drive leading up to where the accident took place. One of the big things that they were saying, and they use this as evidence, that she planned this road because it was out of the way and no one would see what happened. This is a complete lie. Mackenzie has taken this route home numerous times, and anyone that lives in Strongsville uses this road to cut through, as it saves a lot of time, especially during busy times. But Mackenzie has taken this route on numerous occasions, and although her phone did ping here a few days prior to the accident, that is irrelevant because she always cuts through here. This was not a planned road to do something horrible on. This was the way Mackenzie drove all the time, and there was nothing unusual about her using this route, yet they used this as a strong case of evidence against her. Soon we will be coming up on the actual building where progress dead ends into Almeida, where they consistently said she drove straight into the building. The first tree you see with the ribbon on would be straight into the building.
Okay. So, again, look at this. And you see the tree with the white band on it. Okay. That would be straight ahead. Okay. So, where the building, you go to your right, where the building juts out to the right of the sign. See where the building juts out right there? That's where the car impacted. So this car, when it jumped the curb, made a hard right turn. It was consistent with the person driving the vehicle, trying to avoid this accident. That's all I'm saying. It's inconsistent with the idea that she attempted to drive this car straight into the building. That evidence doesn't hold up.
Her car obviously took quite a dramatic turn to the right, which one would think she was trying to avoid any type of accident whatsoever. Her car went through a sign and then hit the building. Approximately 3 months after the fatal accident, the Strongsville police arrested Mackenzie Shirilla and charged her with a litany of crimes, including 2 crimes of murder. The city of Strongsville awoken to the horrible news of the car accident, where 3 of Strongsville's own were in a tragic car accident. 2 of them passed away, and Mackenzie was clinging to life at Metro Hospital. And soon, the rumors started flying. Another factor that the prosecution focused on ad nauseum and repeated over and over and over again through the trial, as did the media and as did people that were uninformed and repeating what the media was telling them, was the fact that she showed no remorse and she acted as if she didn't care. The following photos prove that was just absolutely not the case. This girl cried uncontrollably every day, every night, and could not stop crying. These are all posts made after the accident of where she confesses how much she misses him and how much she wishes that she could replace him, how much that she just wishes he was still here. This girl lost her soulmate, the love of her life, and doesn't know why. She has no recollection of the accident whatsoever. All she does is sit there and wonder what happened.
Now, the first thing that jumps out at you, I know that somebody would say, oh, she has no recollection of the accident. How convenient. Well, it would later come out that she was diagnosed with a medical condition called POTS. And I don't know much about this medical condition, except that there is a neurologist that is seeking a new trial. And the neurologist says that, one, the sudden sudden blackout type conditions are consistent with this. And also the amnesia is also consistent with this. So again, I'm not saying that's the explanation. I'm saying there's doubt here. There's doubt. Now, it strikes me as unusual that they never really interviewed her. They interviewed other witnesses, but they never really interviewed her. They didn't ask her to take a polygraph, and I know a polygraph is not admissible in court, but it would have been interesting if they'd asked her if she was willing to take a polygraph just to see what her reaction would have been. It's just very strange to me that they didn't seem interested in her side of the story.
And imagine losing the love of your life, your soulmate, at such a young age, and the only thing that anyone wants to say is that you did it on purpose and you did it yourself. Not only does she have to grieve the loss of her boyfriend, she has to spend the rest of her life knowing that people think she did it on purpose.
Now, those were the two victims that you just saw there. Dominic Russo on the right and Davion Flanagan. He was also in the car. So those two young men were declared dead on arrival.
This is not the look of a girl who is not grieving. She grieved daily and nightly. She went to the grave sites daily and visited both Dominic's and Davion's grave site. She had a shrine of flowers and a shrine of photos of him next to her bed, and she just stared at and cried continuously. This girl was very hurt, and she has no recollection of what happened. Here is the shrine of photos she would stare at all day long. This girl is devastated, and the lies that the media perpetuated that she didn't care and show no remorse is just a big flat lie. Mackenzie was then transferred to the Cuyahoga County Juvenile Detention Center, where she was held on a $500,000 cash bond, not 10%, which is usually the case. The entire $500,000 cash was required in order to get her out, which was almost an impossibility. She was held there until they had the bind-over trial, which they knew they were doing all along, but they eventually bound the court trial over to the adult courts. The following is video surveillance captured Mackenzie taking a right-hand turn onto Progress Parkway, which in the following clip after the video of the horrific crash, you will hear the judge say any reasonable person could tell that this was done on purpose. Video of a speeding car in no way shows intent to commit murder.
See, now, when he was talking about, the remorse and her visiting the gravesite and all that, kind of plays on emotion, and that in no way shows guilt or innocence. But this is really interesting here. It shows her following the law, using her turn signal, turning right on the road, and then all of a sudden, in a space of less than a mile, the car begins to accelerate. This particular car had a Toyota Camry, had been cited in at least 4 fatal vehicle crashes, with the gas pedal in some way being stuck to the floor. Okay? And what's really creepy about this situation is when Mackenzie was extracted from the car, the shoe that she was wearing, the Prada shoe that she was wearing, was still wedged between the gas pedal and the brake pedal, and the gas pedal was still to the floor. Now, they convicted her based on the assertion that she held the gas pedal to the floor. And this is going over the curb, jumping the curb, with a car lurching to the right. A 90-pound girl was able to hold the gas pedal to the floor. But here's the problem, folks. The serious problem that I have is that after she was extracted from the car, the gas pedal was still to the floor. There's pictures showing this. So if she was holding the gas pedal to the floor, wouldn't the gas pedal have popped up and the shoe would be able to be pulled out? All we see is a car rapidly accelerating. The problem here, folks, is we don't know what caused that car to rapidly accelerate. And I'm not saying I know for sure. What I'm saying is there's doubt here.
Not on behalf of the state, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
Today is the sentencing of the defendant for the purposeful and intentional murders of Davion Flanagan and Dominic Russo. And in a way, it's the second time their families are gathered again to grieve. It's also a day when Mackenzie's family will grieve for the future of their daughter. All three of these families and the friends of these families are suffering, and all of their lives have been irrevocably changed because of the actions of the defendant. The unintended and collateral consequences of a selfish, intentional, and cruel decision by Mackenzie will ripple forever in time. It's literally changed history because it's ended 2 lives. 2 young men are dead. Their deaths were horrible, terrifying, and tragic. I will say again, if any reasonable person reviews Exhibit 802, there can be no doubt in your mind what happened this night.
See, I'm going to say straight up, this judge is flat out of her mind. That is an absolutely insane statement to make, that any reasonable person watching this would have no doubt in their mind. There's all kinds of doubt here, folks. There's all kinds of. At the end of the day, you may come to the agreement with this judge that Mackenzie committed this crime. I'm not saying that's an unreasonable position, but to say that any reasonable person watching this video would come to the conclusion that this was premeditated murder is absurd. All that we know is that the car legally turned right and then something happened to make it rapidly accelerate. You can assume that it was intent, but it is far from beyond doubt.
There can be no doubt of the absolute terror of the 2 people in that car. The defendant controlled all the events. She chose the day. Specifically, she chose a day just before her 18th birthday. She chose to drive the car, the time to drive the car. She chose an obscure, previously scouted route through an industrial parkway. She chose the target to hit and the victims. She chose the means and the method to follow through. And she planned and purposefully executed the events of July 31st, 2022.
I have to be honest with you. I'm in disbelief that this judge could conclude all of that from 8 seconds of video. That's what we had there. 8 seconds of video of a car flying down a road and crashing into a building. And from that, she concluded that Mackenzie chose the route. She chose the day before her birthday. She chose to kill both victims while surviving herself. This judge deduced all of that from 8 seconds of video. I find that astounding. This is such a miscarriage of justice here. It's incredible because, again, our legal system is based on innocence until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. How could she infer all of those things from 8 seconds of video? You have got to be kidding me.
The review of the evidence supports the factual findings, the forensic testimony, the testimony of the first responders, the testimony of the emergency room doctors who treated the defendant, the testimony of the coroner's medical examiner, the testimony of those who knew the victims and the defendant, and the testimony of the BMV official who provided evidence that not only did the defendant deny any medical condition when applying for her license, which her mother co-signed and attested to, but also that just after the accident, Mackenzie renewed her driver's license and again denied any medical condition.
Okay. The fact that Mackenzie had the medical condition POTS is a fact. It's a proven fact that she had this medical condition. Okay. Now, whether that was disclosed when she got her license, I don't know. I don't know about all that. But this case should be overturned based on this alone. This judge is claiming that she knew for a fact that Mackenzie did not have this medical condition. She does. And it's been diagnosed, and the neurologist claims that he believes it's the reason for the accident.
In fact, the defendant was so concerned about driving that, as the state mentioned, during the investigation, she asked if they could just suspend her license for 10 years. It is hard to fathom how a person could be concerned about their driving privileges, having just been responsible for the deaths of 2 people. There was no medical condition that caused this as an accident. There was no mechanical failure of the car. The record is clear on the facts and the evidence. Her mother's uncorroborated statements without any medical testimony or records is not persuasive. It is also important to remember that even if Mackenzie intended to also die in this crash, that is irrelevant. A failed suicide attempt is not a defense to murder. And even in a murder-suicide attempt, when the perpetrator executing the plan survives, the other death or deaths are still murder. There's only one person who's responsible for the pain of everyone in this room, and that person is you, Mackenzie. Nobody else is responsible. This isn't the fault of Dominic's family or Davion's family or your family. And I know that each of you have asked your questions to yourselves, what if? What if I had done this or that? The truth of it is, none of us can control the intentions of another. And when there is a purposeful intent to harm or kill someone, it is the perpetrator alone who bears the responsibility for the choice and the consequences and the harm that follows.
So the judge is unsure whether or not Mackenzie intended to kill herself, but she's able to deduce that Mackenzie intended to kill the other 2 passengers in the car. You can't have it both ways, Judge. You can't say that you're not sure if she intended to kill herself, but that you know based on the evidence that she did intend to kill the other 2 people. If the evidence does not prove that she was attempting suicide or attempt or prove that she was taking steps to not die, the evidence cannot be said to have proven that she attempted to kill these other 2 people. I mean, the leaps this judge makes here are just incredible. Again, based on 8 seconds of video. That's basically all that she has here.
The difficulty for sentencing today, honestly, is whether or not I believe you should get consecutive sentences. I'm troubled that should I give you a concurrent sentence, that people will believe that somehow I'm being disrespectful to one of the victims. And on the other hand, I have to weigh the punishment. There's a very good likelihood, Mackenzie, that you will spend the rest of your life in prison. That won't be up to me. That will be up to the parole board, and that will be up to you to a great extent. I understand that the pain in this room wants me to impose the harshest sentence, but I don't believe that would be the appropriate sentence, because I do believe that Mackenzie will not be out in 15 years. So she's sentenced on count 2, the murder of Davion Flanagan, 15 years to life. She's sentenced on count 1, the murder of Dominic Russo, 15 years to life, to be served concurrent to each other with credit for time served. I'll waive fines, fees, and costs, and your appellate counsel will be assigned. Are there any questions from the state?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Any questions?
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
These horrific after crash photos is all any reasonable person needs to see to know the car was traveling fast. The prosecution and judge referred to Exhibit 802 as the smoking gun, when no one really needed video of the car traveling at a high rate of speed. The photos prove that. Everyone knew that the car was traveling at a high rate of speed. The problem is why was it traveling at a high rate of speed? And quite frankly, no one knows the answer to this.
No, they don't.
Her dressing up as Playboy Cardi had absolutely nothing to do with her being non-remorseful or non-empathetic. It was simply just another way of feeling closer to Dominic, as again, they both enjoyed this artist very much.
Okay, so I have no idea who this artist is, and to be honest with you, it kind of pictures kind of creep me out. But after months of mourning from this accident and everything, she decided to go out for Halloween with some friends, and she decided to dress up in this costume of this artist that they both liked. And they played it as if she was dressing up as a zombie, as if she was mocking the two victims of the crash. And it's just everything that she did was kind of twisted and turned that into where it was some kind of a sinister thing, when they never even bothered to even consider what might be the alternate explanations. It's just really strange.
The following photos are from a fatal car accident in Strongsville, Ohio on Route 82 in September of 2022. This was proved to be a murder-suicide. There was a manifesto left behind by the driver of 20 pages explaining how he was going to do it and why he was going to do it. With Mackenzie, there was not a shred of evidence left behind. There were no texts, there were no phone calls, there were no witnesses saying that she was going to intentionally harm Dominic or Davion or herself. There was simply nothing left by Mackenzie stating that she was in any state of mind to do this. This was a true murder-suicide with evidence and a manifesto to back up this guy's intentions. These photos are an outfit she wore to a Halloween party, which was a dedication to a song that her boyfriend Dominic wrote called Drank on Za. This outfit also got twisted around that she was just out having fun and ignoring the fact of the accident, when in fact, again, this was a tribute to Dominic and everybody knew that it was, but they wouldn't admit it. The following photos are Mackenzie at the concert that her and Dominic were supposed to attend together. If you look closely at the one photo, there's literally a tear rolling down her cheek. This is obviously someone that was just completely devastated that she even had to be there. To quote Sherlock Holmes, it is a capital mistake to theorize before one has facts and or the data. Insensibly, it makes one begin to twist facts to fit theories as opposed to the theories fitting the facts. This theory means induction is a valid method. Say you have 10 possible outcomes. You start from the ones that can't be, then the next two impossible, and so on. At some point, there will be only one left, which therefore must be the correct explanation, right? Not so fast. But it's a fallacy. If you eliminate every solution but one, the last one has to be the right one. It is impossible to determine how many possible options there are. The fact that you can't come up with another solution does not in any way mean that your solutions are the only ones. It's a fallacy. It's a fallacy out of ignorance.
Your Honor, Jim McDonald, 216-781-2125. On behalf of Ms. Shirilla, we've had the indictment more than 24 hours, waive the reading thereof, and a plea of not guilty.
Yes.
Just introduce yourself.
All right, my name is Jamie Flanagan. I'm the victim Davion's mother, and I have Christine with me too, the other victim's mother. And we just ask that you please, Your Honor, take into account the victims. This has been an absolutely devastating loss for our families. We ask that you, when you're looking at the bond, please keep it the same or raise it. We feel that Mackenzie is a threat to both herself and the community if she were to be released. And just thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anything else?
Yes, Your Honor. Tim Troop on behalf of the state of Ohio. I would echo Ms. Flanagan's request to the court that the bond be maintained. This bond was set by juvenile Judge O'Malley after a 3-day probable cause hearing. She heard from multiple experts. The evidence in this case overwhelmingly indicates that these were intentional and purposeful deaths. And so we would ask the bond to be maintained, Your Honor. Thank you.
Leon?
No, Your Honor.
Court says not guilty plea original bond is continued $500,000 cash surety property. DNA must be submitted. Also, no contact with victim's family. Miss, that means yourself, your friends, your family members may not have any contact with the alleged victim's family's member. Do you understand that? Yes? All right. All right, we'll know Mr. McDonald's been retained. Case goes to docket Judge Nancy Maria Russo. Judge Russo's staff will set that next pre-trial date.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Just imagine this, and I have investigated this. There doesn't seem to be any relation. But isn't it kind of creepy that the judge's last name is the same as one of the victims, Russo? And there's been a lot of speculation that there is some kind of a connection. And this person that I talked to at this website said that these people, the judge was actually from the firm, the legal partners of the mother of the victim. So there seems to be at least some indication of a conflict of interest here. Okay, so this is what we were talking about a minute ago. She was found between the seat and the dashboard, like she was in a hunched over position. Okay, her slipper was stuck underneath but was stuck between the pedals. And the theory of some, and Dominic was found without a seatbelt in the front seat, and Davion also was without a seatbelt. And the theory is that Dominic actually took control of the wheel while perhaps Mackenzie was trying to reach down and get her foot loose from the pedal, that her foot was stuck between the brake pedal and the gas pedal, causing the gas pedal to be pushed to the floor. That's a plausible theory, folks. And that the fact that she's hunched over in that manner, and the fact that the steering wheel was jerked to the right, hard to the right, indicates there was a possibility of trying to evade an accident here. So here's the slipper. This is very important evidence here. There's the brake pedal. The slipper is wedged underneath the brake pedal and on the gas pedal. Now, I don't know if I can say for a fact that what this person is saying here is true. I don't know if I can say for a fact that she couldn't keep her foot wedged, keep the gas pedal to the floor if she was unable to at only 90 pounds. I don't know enough about physics to know if that's true, but I do know there's reasonable doubt here. It's reasonable to infer when you add all the evidence, the slipper that's stuck there, okay? The car lurching to the right, the fact that she was found hunched over when she was extracted from the car, folks, there's doubt here. There's doubt here. All of this evidence is not consistent with somebody intentionally trying to crash this car into a brick wall. There's doubt here.
Or a trip.
This
That's
is a
it,
clown
though.
circus presentation.
I knew that Dom didn't like her tripping because she has epilepsy or she can have seizures or something like that. So Dom didn't really ever want her tripping. I know that.
So this is big here, folks. You remember just a few minutes ago hearing the judge denying that she had a medical condition? Basically saying that it was a lie that she had a medical condition. This person is not only corroborating that she had a medical condition, but that her boyfriend was aware of the medical condition that caused seizures or what have you. Well, this is the condition known as POTS, is what they're referring to. So this sounds awfully a lot like someone was trying to cover up that. Why would you cover up evidence that could be valuable to the defense?
Well, I'm sure you've heard, it's at this point, it's public record, but, there were some shrooms found.
Yeah.
It's in the police report that's been released.
I don't know what happened that night. I'm not gonna lie. Davion had texted me that day. Do you want to take acid with me, Joey, Kenzie, and Dom tonight? And I just said, hit me up later, bro. I was like, I'm busy right now. And that was the last time I even texted Davion. I'm assuming they didn't take acid because people were saying they had shrooms. So that kind of like.
So in that video clip, you heard Mackenzie Shirilla's ex-boyfriend state that he was supposed to meet with all of them the night of the party and the night of the accident to do mushrooms, shrooms, as they're called on the street. They are a psychedelic drug, one which in the video, you hear him say that Dominic did not like her doing mushrooms because she had epilepsy or something and that she had seizures. So there was knowledge of her seizures before this crash. Why did the prosecutor and judge completely overlook the testimony of this witness, who was a credible witness, who had firsthand knowledge of Mackenzie having seizures? It was completely overlooked and ignored. The reason why it was overlooked and ignored is because it didn't fit the narrative.
Wow. Yeah, I think that's a reasonable question. I think this man's making a compelling argument here.
This documentary was not made in any way, shape, or form to minimize the fact that 2 young men lost their lives and 2 families are forever heartbroken, and it's just a tragic event all the way around. This documentary was meant to show the truth and that Mackenzie was severely overcharged. There was an eyewitness testimony from a friend of theirs who mentioned that Mackenzie and Dominic were asleep on the couch at 4:30 a.m., snuggled up with each other the morning of the accident. These are photos that Mackenzie posted to social media after the accident, and this certainly is not showing the person that doesn't care or is not remorseful. She loved Dominic and still loves Dominic, but the prosecution never wanted anyone to see these pictures because these photos don't fit the narrative that they were painting. How could any reasonable person say that 2 arguments 30 days prior to the accident outweigh their demeanor and mood 2 hours before the accident? None of it makes any sense. And if they could go back to arguing 30 days prior and use that against you, we're all in trouble.
The families of God and Davia, I'm so deeply sorry. I hope one day you can see I would never let this happen or do it on purpose. I wish I could remember what happened. I'm sorry. I'm heartbroken. I love Dom and Davia. We were all friends and Dom was my soulmate.
That's Mackenzie Shirilla speaking in court, and I've got something else you need to know about her tonight. Let's take a look. Let's reveal it, folks. There she is. She got sentenced 15 years to life for taking the lives of 2 people. Her 20-year-old boyfriend, Dominic, and their 19-year-old friend, Davion. They were in a car. She made that car go 100 miles an hour into a wall, taking their lives. Somehow, some way, she walked away from it, but those 2 young men did not. Tonight, the video of the crash. First, you can see the car making a normal right-hand turn here. Okay, everything's normal. Then inside the car, she decides she is going to end everyone's life. Let's watch. did that on purpose.
And you know that how?
She survived.
Amazing.
And now the family of the victims had to speak at her sentencing. Let's take a listen.
My name is Jamie Flanagan. I am the mother of the victim, Davion Flanagan. My son did not have a clique of friends, but instead was a friend to all. He would go out of his way to show love and kindness to others, including those that were often cast aside by society, the less fortunate, the developmentally challenged, the hurting, and the unvalued. Davion made sure that everyone that crossed his path knew that he truly saw them, that he valued them, and that they were worth his time. So many dreams shattered, a future stolen. We will never get to see the amazing man that he was surely to become. His life was precious. Like I said, he was so much more than cargo. I pray daily for strength and perseverance for myself and for my family. I also pray that Mackenzie will find true remorse in her heart and true repentance. We thank all of those that worked so hard to help us bring justice for our son. We are forever thankful. Davion, we miss you terribly, but as Christians, we grieve with hope. We will make sure your memory lives on, and we ache for the day that we are united again in eternity. Thank you.
He was the one who picked me up when I fell. He was my best friend and the only person that has stayed with me since I was born. It's completely unfair that no matter what sentence you give her, she will be eligible for parole, while my brother will be gone forever. Thank you, Your Honor.
But this was not a car accident. The evidence and science proved that Mackenzie Shirilla murdered my son, Dominic, as well as Davion. No one can imagine the pain of losing a child unless they have lost one themselves. The pain is forevermore. Time does not heal this wound. Mackenzie, going to prison because you did this. Be thankful that you're still alive and have a future, whatever that may be. Dom and Davion were robbed of their futures, their hopes, and their dreams. Mackenzie showed no mercy on Dominic, nor did she on Davion. Only God at this time can have mercy on her soul. Thank you.
Nothing said or done here today can describe the loss or repair our lives after this tragedy. Kenzie's statement in the hospital to Detective Azu, "Can't you just take my license away for 10 years or something?" That statement is Mackenzie Shirilla. The most selfish person I know. Ironically, Dom was the most selfish person I know. Mackenzie Shirilla murdered Dom and Davion in cold blood and had already moved on. Kenzie killed Dom over the thought of losing him, and she made Davion collateral damage. She was driving, going to concerts, and dressing up for Halloween. No thoughts of the families and lives that she had destroyed.
I just want to say to the families that I'm broken, sad, and lost, and my heart hurts for everyone, okay? Davion was her new friend, and Dom was the love of her life, and he was part of our family, okay? I'm just so sorry that this happened, and we're heartbroken, okay? For 3 months crying, there was a shrine of him next to her with photos and things that he liked, and this flower that lights up that he got her because he wanted it to be fresh and alive forever. It's like a little Beauty and the Beast flower. Okay, she's got this shrine of him next to her.
The families of Dom and Davion, I'm so deeply sorry. I hope one day you can see I would never let this happen or do it on purpose. And to my family, thank you for the support and all the love you guys give. Thank you for fighting with me. I love you all so much. Thank you.
The defendant controlled all the events. She chose the day. Specifically, she chose the day just before her 18th birthday. She chose to drive the car, the time to drive the car. She chose an obscure, previously scouted route through the industrial parkway. She chose the targets and the victims. She chose the means and the
I've seen enough here. I think a reasonable person could watch all of this, weigh all of this evidence, and still come to the conclusion that they believe that she may have did this. That's reasonable. I don't think a reasonable person could conclude that this was proven. I just don't see it. I don't see how you can say the prosecution, on the flimsiest of evidence, proved a double murder conviction. There were drugs involved. Clearly, that was irresponsible. And we don't know exactly what happened in the car, except that it's very questionable. And they didn't prove intent. They didn't prove opportunity. They didn't prove that she had anything to gain from this. Plus, there's evidence of the shoe being stuck. There's evidence of evasive action to avoid the accident. There's all kinds of doubt here, folks. I just wanted to play it and get your thoughts. I think that this verdict is eventually going to be overturned. I think this was a rogue judge here, and this verdict is going to be overturned. It would not surprise me if she gets a new trial and this is thrown out, because irresponsible behavior, yes. Drugs involved, yes. Negligence, possibly. Premeditated double murder, give me a break. Anyway, good night and God bless you. Thanks for watching.